Thank you very much. Thanks everyone for coming. Is there any English speakers on here? Perfect. Okay. I'm Polish, but this presentation will be in English. I will just ask to do so for those who don't speak Polish. It's an opportunity to talk about something. This presentation will be easy. This was created for software testers, and I hope you enjoy it. My first thing is to open with a joke. There are many good jokes about disaster recovery. If you put this in Google, you will get similar images to that. Many comics that look like this, that we are not prepared, that our disaster recovery plan looks like this. So there we go, we have an opening joke. So I'm working for a team that gives this service to companies, to a lot of customers that we have. And my target group is this presentation. It was designed for software testers. This has a connection to software testing. I will show you where our two worlds collide. When do I need software testers? What do I need them for? What do I expect from software testers? So that's it. But I also welcome very much project managers, scrum masters here, team leaders, somebody who works with the customer as well, and IT people in general. So I hope you are in that group, and we can finally start. So the first thing, why do I do this presentation? Why do we build software? Why do we get paid for doing IT services? And the answer is to create value. That is my goal. That's what I started. The previous presentation was about ITIL. So this is taken from ITIL materials. I'm trying to teach ITIL principles. I'm learning and getting new exams, so I use that knowledge here. So why do we have software? Why do we have IT services? Is to create value. And because you are IT people, you should be able to understand this, that we need two things, and we create value, and software creates value when it adds a functionality. This is what you know. This is when you test new functionalities of any software. If you use an IT service, it gives you new functionalities. That creates value. Or it can eliminate a constraint. It can disable your limitations. You can do something more that you couldn't. So these are the 2 points, that can create value. But you also need another thing. You need 4 things, actually. Do you have any idea what these things are? Okay, so this is the big 4 that you need for any software to work. That's this: availability, capacity, continuity, and security. If you are a software tester, you are somewhere in this area of the software. Now we have, in other rooms here, in conference rooms, we have things connected with security here, which is crucial for the success, for the value of any software, any IT service. And I will be talking about this one, about continuity. So you can see that it is needed for any IT system, any IT service here. We can talk about perfect functionalities, a perfectly working system without these 4 points that are below. They don't create value. Don't create value for a customer. So we know why. I can show you this wonderful world and the IT service I'm providing for the customers. What can be a disaster? So I asked before the conference, and Legia Warsaw in Champions League was one of the answers. My tie. What else? US elections. Yes, that is a possible answer. Or this year, superhero movies. Yes. But really, what can be a disaster? What is a disaster? What do you think?
Like an example?
Yes, example.
For example, database is going down, and now we need to restore something.
We will go to this in a moment. Any other ideas?
Electricity problems, error detection problems.
Interesting problems. But if you are not IT people, if you were, just imagine that you are normal, that you that you come from a different field. Like, what is a disaster?
Fire.
Yes. So. Yes, all kinds of natural disasters. They also happen. like fire, flood, hurricane, tornado, so on, right? We have this. Any other ideas? No.
That lost.
Okay, in a moment. Any other ideas? Normal disasters?
You
Like
mean like constant?
Catastrophe.
something like that, yeah. So we have something connected with people. Plane crash, vandalism, terrorism, that we have lost personnel when we lose people. There can be there's something called a pandemic, right? When we have spread of viruses and anything like this. Zombies. Yeah, that's it. And the third group of disasters is something that you said before. So my definition of a disaster for IT services is this. So this is anything that destroys normal processing capabilities. And what I tell you, what business fears the most in the world? You know, uncertainty, that they cannot predict anything. And I can tell you what I fear the most, or what is my definition of a disaster for a data center that we look after, is this thing. So really what you said, loss of power, of electricity, or cut cord with internet, with network, that's a disaster for me. So we kind of understand what are the risks here. Now, disaster recovery. What we are talking about, what is IT service continuity and disaster recovery for me and for you should be the same thing. So when I use these words, just remember that they are actually the same. We are an IT service. You had some introduction to IT services in the previous lecture, and what I do need? I need to write a lot of stuff, a lot of documents. I don't like it very much, but this is what I get paid for, and this is what we need for this service. So you as software testers, many of you are software testers, you write your own reports, documents, and so on. But we also need people, we need best of the best, we need people that know the system, know the architecture, that is IT specialists, we need people like myself to run this. We need architecture, we need something to work on, and I will be going in detail to the architecture stuff to show you something, to give you more examples. We need skills, we need to be better every time, we need to learn new things, and we do testing, which we'll be talking in 15 minutes. And there's something that is really useful, it is a philosophy in many of the companies, in many of the corporations, which is called continual improvement. So to be better every time we do something, to learn from the past, to check the lessons learned. And we are part of business continuity. So I'm taking care of IT services, but there is another thing, this is called business continuity, and they take care of the business, how to move employees from one office to another, how to make business run. And we are connected, we are part of it, connected to IT, right? And for me, it's like a holy grail for IT specialists. I will show you in a minute why it is challenging, what are the problems, why do we do this, basically. Now, how do we sell this to people? Now, so this is taken from a brochure that my company was giving to any of the customers, how you can sell this to your bosses, disaster recovery. So there are 3 things for the business. I told you what they hate the most. They hate losing money, and they hate being not prepared for it, right? So this is what you can show to the business. They want to have service restored in minutes. Like imagine a bank not working for 2 weeks or something. That is a disaster, right? By every definition of that word. And always stay in business. Next thing, the customers. So if you are a big company, you have to take care of your brand, of your end users, of your customers, then they want to be confident, you want to have the services uninterrupted for them. And the third thing, compliance. So I can tell you that you have to pass an audit, you have to be compliant with all the rules, with the law, and I can tell you that this third thing is the setup. Actually, when you are a medical company, you need to have a disaster recovery implemented because you won't sell anything in the United States, for example. There are financial companies, banks, they need to do this by law. It is required for them to have this kind of IT services, a contract for this kind of IT services. So they have to do it basically, some of the companies. Not only want, but they must. So, where are we? I told you that we are a part of business continuity, so this is the big bubble. They take care of their stuff, about employees, offices, their business, and we take care of IT. So we are here. Told you that IT service continuity, disaster recovery. So what we are talking about here is real disaster invocation. So when I work and there is a hurricane, there is a loss of power in the data center, then when we start working, and we write these procedures and rules that I talked about, we take care of the documents, of the plans, how to do it, with instructions. We do trainings and education like this, so part of my job. And continuous care. So if something changes, we need to follow this as well. We need to be on track with everything. And the testing. And this is my main topic for today. This shows where we are, and this will show connection to your goals, to application testing. So when we go deeper into that, I'll be talking about backup and restore. So this is an idea for next presentation of mine. Next year, we'll see. Without backup and restore solution, we cannot do anything. This is something we are dependent on. We need to work closely with those people. We need to build a solution that includes backup and restore. So now that's it. Scope. We have to scope, so we have to decide what to test. Not everything is important in a company. Sometimes when you have a disaster, you need to restore normal, the most crucial, the most important IT services. Like for a bank, you need to have payments. You need to be able to pay with your bank card or to withdraw money from ATM machine. That is something that you need to do. But maybe accounting can wait a day or two if they have total loss of everything. So we have to decide. We need to have a DR solution that I'll show you in a minute how it works. Testing applications, that will be interesting to you, and types of VR testing. So I will show you what can we do, what are our options here. Technical procedures are everywhere, and we need to take care of them. We need to have them prepared for any of these tests. So to be prepared for any of real disaster, we need to do this kind of VR testing. We need to check if everything is on track. We need to do it like any QA does with his software. And communication. In communication, any IT conference, if you do a lecture about communication, it is a thumbs up. So we'll talk about this as well. We have something that is called a paper test, a paper walkthrough. Just imagine a normal conference room when everybody sits in a room and they just reading documents. That's the part. That's what we can do. This is called a paper walkthrough, and this is also the disaster recovery test. But this is done on special occasions, like when everything was already tested for real, and we just need to check if something changed. So we can do this kind of service for you. We can meet and we can talk about our disaster recovery procedures. And yes, this is a real test. This is something that we can do. But what we are really doing, we are recovering the machines. We are working with hardware and software and all kinds of IT services. We do something that is called work area recovery. So we can work with data centers, with servers, we can work with end users. We can work with their laptops, their computers, something that they work. They can move with train from one office to another. There are companies that can sell you office space for disaster recovery. This is a big business in Western countries. They can be huge. I was in a former airport, in an old military base, in a Hitler bunker, in the middle of North Sea. So there are companies that are selling office space, and they have computers ready for employees to move when something happens. Big companies are prepared with this. So you can see they can be even inside a mountain, in old mines, and really cool stuff. Yeah, so we are doing this as well, and moving data centers from one thing to another. And now we talk about architecture, so we have some education for you. I think there are two types of RTO architecture, and there is something that is called the cloud. We will talk about it in a minute. One is high availability, we will talk about what it is, and the second is normal disaster recovery. We will talk about what it is, and then there's something that is called the cloud solutions. Nobody understands the cloud. I will tell you why cloud is not an DR architecture. So let's start with this. So we have many options. Just imagine that you have one site, one place where you have all your computers or your software, and you have a secondary site that can be running, up and running, you can use both, or it can be just as a contingency, just a second site that you can use. And you can have a load balancer, they can both be working, and you just have two. If something happens to one, the other one is working, right? You can do synchronized objects between software, between these two sites. You can do this on the data level, on the storage level. You can do it even on machines, like move the machines from one place to another. So you have actually many options. There are softwares, there is a software to help you with that. You can build networks, but the basic principle is this, that when one is lost, the second can work. And we don't have a scenario when two are lost there. You have to pay additional money to design something like this. This is easy to operate. Like you can really recover something in minutes, in hours, like depending on the solution. Like you can do it even in 4 minutes, everything can be up and running. It is expensive, and you have to buy 2 times the number of servers, right? You have to buy servers in the primary site and the same number of servers in the secondary site. So what is the alternative to this? And this is called normal disaster recovery. So we have a primary site, you know that, then we have off-site storage. This is a special safe location somewhere deep in the forest, in the mountains, in an old Hitler bunker, or somewhere else, where you have to transport the backups. The backups need to be in a different physical location than your main business, right? So we still use tapes. You know what these are? LTO tapes. Familiar with that? Yes.
That's really old.
Not old. This is still, of course, yes. Now the price of hard disk is really low, so you can have your normal operational backups on site using normal hard drives. But it is still required by law, and many companies do that, and you need to have an off-site backup, and you use tapes. Tapes are the cheapest thing available per gigabyte when you count the price, and this is a secure information. You can keep the tape for 100 years, locked in the safe, and it still be readable after 100 years. This is the warranty.
What about electromagnetic problems? Say someone just dropped the electromagnetic into your...
That's why it's called off-site location. This is a special company that does that. They have security for this guy. Yes. So yes, we have off-site storage. The company that does that, the biggest one in the world, is called Iron Mountain. If you heard of it, in New York, there are like thousands of trucks going to the big offices every day, just collecting the tapes. And this is just amazing to see the view. And
How do you know that those types are warranty?
this is the warranty. This is the standard.
There is no such tape in the world which is already by other.
Yeah, but the producer of these tapes, like they're created by yes, so they designed this to be 100-year proof. Yes, they are readable, and they will give you money back if they don't.
The license guarantee will be there by the time.
Probably yes, but this is, I tell you, there's no better thing. Yeah. And then we have recovery side. Yes, that can be secondary or something that is leased, like you can rent it for an hour or a week or something. And then you have some kind of connection, some kind of synchronization between these two sites, when you buy a new server here, you have to buy it here as well, or at least order a new server. And it can be a service. And then we have, what's next? Oh yeah, Godzilla is next. So you lose your primary site. Everything, you lose everything, right? It was a bomb, a plane crash, a flood, you don't have backup. There was a backup of hard disk there. So you need what? You need this. There are tapes outside storage that can go to the recovery site, and voila, we are ready with everything. Yes. So it's easy to implement because you are doing your on-site storage backups every time. Just you need to have a recovery site, but this is slower, right? You need to count the time of this. You need to prepare this, a hospital for IT services, right? We call it like this. And it can take days, weeks to recover sometimes from this. But I can tell you, disaster is not an incident. Right? When you cannot log on to a database, this is not a disaster for us. The disaster is when we lose the whole data center. It's not a problem with your software. And you can tell that this takes time and this takes money and stress and everything. And we do tests like this. So backup and restore is crucial for disaster recovery. You saw that on the example. Even if we have a full HA solution to these two sites, we still use tapes, we still use backup, just as a contingency. Yeah, this is important. Yeah, just there are two types of people: the ones that make backups and the ones who will. So I hope you take backups. Right, this as well. And cloud solutions. So we have cloud. The system is available in the cloud. It is okay for startups, it is okay for small companies, but when the whole business depends on your IT infrastructure, you are just giving the control away. You believe that your cloud service provider will be responsible for disaster recovery. Right? So it's giving away the control. For me, it's not a disaster recovery because the cloud service provider will hire us to do disaster recovery for his customers, right? So for me, it is not a valid type of VR architecture. You can look at this both ways. And do you know the architecture of your systems? Like what the software that you use? What is your VR solution? You can check. Okay, so we want to test it. We go to the customer and they tell me that it's too expensive to shut down the system. Right? They are banks or anything like that. So what is the solution to this problem?
Do it with the other system, like a refund.
Yeah, so we go back to our architecture here, really easy. So we do something like this. This is called RTO, or isolated environment, and we do the testing. We build the second environment and we try to test it in the recovery side, right? Using the same software. And two systems run. Primary side is okay, no Godzilla here, right? And you can do our tests here and customer is happy. Yeah, so planning a DR test is easy. Now we finally go to your world. I prepare documents, yeah, how to communicate, what is my success criteria, and I contact the people. And the DR test starts like this. We have a phone call, help, there is a fire, flood, zombies, Godzilla, right? Then we check the procedures. We check who to call, where are the people we meet. We start reading the procedures and we know what to do. We know what are our steps. We call Iron Mountain for the tapes and we wait for the tapes. Then we prepare the hardware and network. So we have a contract or we own a data center, then we prepare everything to go. Then we restore data, we install software, then we test business processes with software testers, and we clean everything and we do a rollback. We go back to production. We don't want any impact on the real process. Yes, that is not planned. what business fears the most? The uncertainty, right? So we need to do this. And you can see here is when I need the software testers. This is when we work together on these DR tests. You know what this is? RTO, RPO. Anyone? Okay, good. So let's imagine that we have a disaster somewhere. This is a point in time. Then we have RPO and RTO. This one, we have a phone call. We start working somewhere here. And this is how much time we have to recover everything. Yeah, this is our goal from the business, that they need everything up and running in 4 hours. So RPO for our system, for our application, recovery time objective, sorry, RTO for our application, recovery time objective will be 4 hours. And we are doing backup here, and here, and here, and we have a disaster. Last available backup is here. This is not a good solution. We lost almost, for example, a day of work, right? So we have recovery point objective. How much data are we prepared to lose? So we have to communicate with backup and restore, and we need to take backups here, 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 so on. Yeah. The RTO can be 5 minutes. It can be last unsaved transaction in the database, right? This can be a system like this. It can be 1 day, a week, depending on your business goals. So we have recovery time objective, how much time we have, start time, stop time, and we have recovery point objective, how much time are we going to lose. Okay, the question now, what do you think is RCO? There's a third part. So R is recovery, O is object, C, correct? We're close. Consistency. So you can, now that we sometimes they add a third parameter to our contracts, which shows us how much data is the same on DR and on production, right? So we have to check in percent that 99/9% of data is available. Now we go to, this will be useful for you if you do any kind of testing, business continuity testing. So if something happens, if something wrong happens, we have to listen to the fire brigade, to the police, to any kind of emergency services. That is the main goal, to save lives of the people, animals, or anything like that, so this comes first. Then we have health and safety regulations, so we have to get rid of any dangers. We have to know it's safe to go inside a building after a fire or after anything that happened. Then we take care of the property and of the business processes, so business continuity, and there's IT, the last thing to do. So, well, remember, right, this is the correct order of things, and who is the boss, who is running. Yeah? So fire brigade first. We don't save servers when there is still fire and people can die. And this is taken from the British. The British are the first ones in the world that have created a kind of crisis management framework. What to do when there is a crisis. And when you are doing the Olympics, when you are doing the IT services, when you are saving people from hurricanes, you use the same principle, the same rules. So this is cool and useful. Usually divide your tasks into 3 levels. This, you have the people that are the bosses, the management, the CEOs. They decide what is the main objectives, the big goals. Then you have silver tactical level, when you have coordinators, when you have people that will assign tasks to different people. They will be also communicating with both of these levels. And you have bronze. Bronze are the heroes, the people that actually do the work and not sit in a conference room. People that will save servers, save lives, the people that are working, that are actually doing the work. And when they have a problem, they can escalate the problem to an upper level, and this is the task of the silver and gold level to solve these problems for them. And now we go to software testing. Finally, I started my main presentation. So the goal is to test everything, for example, in 2 hours, right? We have limited time for VR testing, for testing VR applications. We focus on business processes, we focus on functionalities, and on data consistency. So this is how we build software testing for VR architecture. Usually, what we have out of scope, or we have a limited scope of performance or security. We can design these kind of tests, but we need different things. Like sometimes the customers can agree that their DR solution can be slower than the production. Yeah, they don't want to waste money. Or security, we know that something can be not as secure as normal operations. So usually we don't. This is not our focus here. And I have possible ideas what are our scenarios, what can we test during a DR test. So we can use user acceptance testing. We can design the same thing that happened in UAT phase, but just choose a test that passed, right? We can check data consistency. We can do reconciliation between databases and compare the transactions. We can compare the records. We can write special SQL queries to compare what is in a different database, or we can check the messages. If there are big systems and they have queuing, then we can compare if it's still working. We can do smoke testing. We can give the system to somebody that's familiar with the domain, and you can do smoke testing. You can check any successful path scenario that is expected. This is something that we use. We can check external connections to any of the. We can check network, right? If the system communicates, it has interfaces to other systems. We can check if these connections are working, if the ports are open, if the network is configured properly. We can check printing. Printing is really important in many companies, and they need many things on paper, and it's usually forgotten. And sometimes we have printing in our testing scripts right now, and we have to restore printing services as well. This is pretty difficult. Batch jobs. So when something happens every day, every night, every week, people usually forget about it on the DR environment, and it can create problems. Like you have a bank and you need to do accounting every night, right? And when you have a DR, this doesn't work, so we need to test it as well on our test recovery machine. So you can see the scope of these tests is pretty wide, and you can design many tests here. Data flow, right? When you transform something in your applications, you might do some kind of white box testing to see how it is. And you can check isolation if the system is really isolated from the production. Then, you know this, right? Usually you have 2, 3, 4, 5 different environments when you are building your software, right? You have your things where developers work. You can have test, pre-prod, and production. I'm talking about a different word, a DR, something that can be here. We can add a DR to our staging production, right? You can have additional environment here. Or if you really have a lot of money and you want to waste time, you can have a DR here. And yeah, so you can test in the application, right? What you can do. The application is already tested. The system is up and running for 20 years now in a big bank. However, it is almost the same. Yeah, this real messages and operating systems and databases are the same. So we can log onto the system, everything seems fine, let's go home. can tell you what are now the problems with that. What can we find, and some lessons learned. So challenges for software testing on VR environment. Yes, let's start. First slide. Documentation mismatch. Right? Something that was documented on production, it's not the same here. Lack of test cases. When we don't have any scripts, this can be a problem. We have limited time, and we have to do everything on time. Change requests. If you work in IT service, you know that environments change. So when we change something on production, we have to do the same on VR. If we are not on the same page, then the test will fail. Okay, this is a cool story. So when we have, for example, SAP system, we put a big logo of jumping tiger when you log into the system. And then we called out the software testers in India, and they performed the tests, and we asked, did you see a jumping tiger? And this was the first question that we asked. They said no, so please do it again. We knew that they were logging to production, they were not really testing with VR. So sometimes this is a big problem when you have to decide the two environments should look the same, right? So you have to be sure that you are testing on the right one. And my lesson learned is to put a big picture with something strange, and this will be the first question that I ask the software testers. Did you see a big tiger while doing your test? And this means that, yeah, and I can tell you, this is a serious issue during VR testing, during software testing, that we cannot distinguish which environment is production, which environment is VR. Next slide. Hardware mismatch. Hardware is almost the same. Like we bought the same computer, the same model, but the network interface is different. And you have to find another driver and you lose 2 hours, and the customer is really angry. Network setup, I told you that we can design a different network setup. Then we have different configuration, interface for the systems. Security is different. Licenses. Sometimes you have to buy software and you have some like USB dongles with hardware key. You need to have the same hardware key for your VR. It doesn't want to work. Limited performance. I told you that this doesn't really have to be a challenge, doesn't have to be an issue, it all depends. Like if you test it or not. And data consistency. Sometimes you lose storage. So yeah, we can go home. Yes. These are the possible things that software testers found on this. Oh, I have newsletters. Time constraint. VR tests are extremely expensive for customers. They pay a lot of money for this. These are working live environments. They cost money, and we have to do everything in 2, 3, 4 hours, and do the same testing that it can take for you when you build software 2 weeks, right? So we need everything. We have to be prepared a month before to do it here. And something that is called the rollback phase. When we switch to a different data center, we are going back and we need to test everything again on production, that everything is running, right? You understand the seriousness of this, and you have to be calm and you test everything and you check that you didn't destroy anything on production. What I expect from a testing team when we talk together for this. So it's really useful to have a test script. UAT is good, well they need to write one. You need to how you organize UAT testing. It's usually the same. So this can be useful for you when you organize user acceptance testing, when you have a limited time box for that. Contact info, then you have to organize technical support, software help desk, or where to find a solution to the problems that you can find, how to do that. You need to plan your timeline, you need to tell them about your goals. When you report a bug, when you report issues, we need to have them here. And we want the best people actually for this because it takes less time to test. So we need to check what is their skill level before and check if they are able to do this. And we also show them the presentation about system, what we are doing, so they know, they understand what we are trying to achieve, and they will help us to identify the problems that we need to find, right? If you are asked as a software tester just to test the software, you will be, and you don't know anything about DR, you won't even recognize it. It's the same environment. So we need to show them this kind of presentation. We need to show them what we expect from software testers before. So when you are trying to design this for your application, this kind of software, first talk to your business, talk to your bosses, then check what are the risks that you have. You have to choose the architecture, the types that I've shown you, depending on how much money you have and what are your goals. Prepare technical instructions with the platform specialists, with operating system database team, software team. Collect test scripts. They can be reusable. If you have a test script even for an old software, we need them. We need them for this, for example. Don't delete them and spread the word about disaster recovery in your organization, in your teams. Yes, fine. Thank you very much for this presentation. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them right now. Off topic, I'm organizing a different conference, IT conference in February next year. I encourage you to submit your ideas for presentations. We have multiple papers right now. You can find the best Wrocław. It's in Wrocław. So thanks very much.